Welcome back. Now that you've had a chance to look at this charter, how many problems did you find? There are at least 6 here, so let's go take a look item by item. Let's start with the business case. They've done a really good job here of addressing WIIFM, what's in it for me. But what's missing from the business case is any form of burning platform. Now we've got the example that you saw, and I've also got a good example here that we've changed to try to correct this. So if we look at the good example, we've added a burning platform in red. We run the risk of losing patients due to long waits. Our number one patient complaint is waiting too long. So we've added that in as a crisp, succinct burning platform. Next up is the problem statement. In this, we expect to see a statement that says a defect is blank. That's called a defect definition. Every charter should have one. We're not seeing that. It should crisply, succinctly, directly lay out what the Y variable is for our project. If we look back at the corrected example, we've added that in the problem statement. We say a defect is any patient waiting more than 15 minutes between arrival and being seen by a physician. In this case, we would have some survey data perhaps, or we've done some voice of the customer maybe that gives us that 15-minute number. If we didn't know that, we would simply put in TBD, to be determined, and we would move on with our charter, and we would fill it in after we'd done the voice of the customer. Next up is the goal statement. We expect to see a goal statement that addresses our Y variable and says we want to either increase or reduce our Y variable from its baseline level to a target level by a specific date. In this case, our goal statement is very, very vague. To make that more specific, in the corrected example, we've added this. The goal of the project is to decrease the amount of time between patient arrival and being seen by a provider from an average of 63 minutes to no more than 15 minutes by March 22nd. Again, we would have some data perhaps that backs up that 63 minutes. If we didn't have that, we would put in baseline or TBD. Back to our example, under project scope, the start and end points they've put in here are the project start and end points. What we expect to see here are the start and end points of the process itself. In other words, if we had a SIPOC diagram, what would the first and the last step of the process be? Not where your project starts and ends. So if we look at the corrected example, we've added here that it begins when the patient walks in the door and it ends when the physician enters the exam room. Under project plan, the timeline looks about right. We expect a Greenbelt project to be a part-time effort lasting 8 to 12 weeks. In this case, it does that. Under tasks, they have included a randomly selected group of tasks, and if you choose to do that, there is one problem here. It looks like they are going in, analyzing something, writing a report, showing it to the boss, congratulating themselves, and stopping. In no place did we actually improve anything, so we would have to do that. Under the good example, we do what you've seen in training. We put the 5 steps of DMAIC, when we think we're going to start, when we think we're going to end. Very clean, very simple. Lastly, under team members, the green belt is part-time. That's to be expected. The size of their team is appropriate. But what's missing here is we don't see a sponsor. Sometimes the champion and the sponsor are the same person, in which case we should note that. Otherwise, we appear to be missing that. Also, for Dr. Conley, we don't know what percentage of time we need from Dr. Conley. And lastly, we are missing the black belt advisor. Who would the green belt go to for advice if they had any questions? In the corrected example, you see that we've addressed that. The sponsor and champion are different people. The percentage of times for all these folks seems to be roughly correct. So hopefully you found all of the problems. We'll correct that, and we'll have a nice rock-solid charter.